Chapters 14 through 21, Barber goes into these chapters discussing a time where he had the editors for a gourmet magazine at his restaurant and he served them bluefin tuna, which he feels was a poor judgment on his part because it was not on par with his sustainable values, because bluefin tuna is an endangered species. He uses this example to lead in to then discuss the current conditions of our ocean and our ocean life, and how many of our most desired species of fish that we tend to eat more than others have seen a major decline because we are fishing for them faster than they can reproduce. Moving forward, he meets with a man named Angel Leon, who is a chef, who he compares his sustainability practices to Paladine, who we talked about earlier on in the chapters, in thus that he tries to consume as many parts of the fish and uses undesirable pieces and attempts to create less waste to shift people's concentration off of the more popular fish that we tend to consume in larger quantities and make them onto something that is in a less endangered state per se. Further on within the chapters, he then meets with Miguel Medalvia, who works at Vida La Palma, which is a sustainable fish farm. Now, Miguel's role within this establishment is he is a specialist on relationships and discusses how they have created a, so to speak, man-made environment for these fish, but this also replicates an entire ecosystem and how everything kind of coexists nicely together, thus creating a desirable fish and having a desirable product to put forth. Now, this ties into the discussion related to Angel Leon because further on in the chapters, Barber takes the opportunity to bring Miguel to Angel's restaurant with Carl Safina, who is the author to a book pertaining to the demise of the bluefin tuna, who was mentioned earlier on in the chapter. Now, Barber's thought was that bringing these individuals together who have like-minded ideas regarding sustainability and being able to bring a farm-raised fish to Angel's restaurant and present them with the idea of a more sustainable resource from farm-raised fish. However, Carl and Angel had very conflicting views in regards to sustainability. Now, Angel's idea of sustainability is that using less desirable pieces of fish and undesirable parts of those fish would create a more sustainable environment. However, Carl's view was just that when you open up the market and put all of these, so to speak, undesirable pieces out there, this is going to create a whole different market, thus creating a demise to a much broader spectrum of ocean life. I feel as though these chapters were very compare and contrast in regards to sustainability practices and how we can better the situation that our aquaculture currently is in. However, I think this also plays into, in previous chapters, how it was noted that because our industrialized agriculture system in this country has kind of had a snowball effect, it's at the point where it's so hard to reverse the system to kind of start from square one. With that being said, a lot of the chapters that were related to Angel Leon discuss how he got where he was and spoke about fishing with his dad while he was young, and he talked about how culturally this is a big piece of his life. I feel like this ties in a lot with a lot of the other readings that were mentioned this week, one being the article called What I Know About the Ocean by Ayanna Elizabeth Johnson. She talks about how the destruction of our ocean life has greatly altered a lot of communities and affected them in a multitude of different ways. In addition, the other article called Ocean Science and Advocacy, We're Better When Decolonized by Daya Belhabib. She also talks about how culturally fishing and fisheries and all of this ties in to a lot of different communities, and how we need to be mindful when creating scientific narratives, and we need to include the diversity that includes these cultures that fish is so crucial to, and our ocean life is so crucial to. Furthermore, the biggest takeaways I actually had from this week was, I'm embarrassed to admit that I did not know that the Ocean Climate Action Plan was a thing, and I found that really interesting, and how they had actually put specific timelines on being able to execute these plans. And also, while reading the article by Ayana Elizabeth Johnson, she talks about the human rights aspect, and as this is no surprise to any of us, we know that human rights is often a huge issue when it comes to multiple different areas within our agricultural system. However, when she specifically mentioned that in specific Asian and African areas, that a lot of the times these women barter sex as a means of having access to buy fish, and I found that really astounding, and it was really upsetting that these type of practices still take place today.